Welcome to Ageless by Rescu. This podcast is devoted to exploring the science of rejuvenation, uncovering the most trusted experts, the must-have products, innovations, and technology in the field of vitality, aesthetics, new beauty, and cosmetic enhancement. Do you know how excited I am to welcome you, Jess, to the Ageless by Rescu podcast? You are indeed an ageless muse. You are the embodiment of everything that I try to share. And the ageless muse category I reserve for people who really, really walk their talk. And I've been wanting to kind of get under the bonnet of you, the person, as a part of it, separate to you, the brand, for such a long time, because I love the way that you live and you bring health and wellness in a very non-judgmental way to a lot of people, and it's exciting to have you on the show.
Thank you. Those are such kind words. Such a compliment. I'm very excited to be talking to you because we were just saying before, I've known you in the industry for years, and it's so cool to finally chat properly face to face. And you've done an extraordinary job too. And I'm sorry I don't look as glamorous as you though.
Well, I feel like I look a bit bold and the beautiful.
You look gorgeous.
But I got all excited that I was seeing you. And you're 32 now, right?
I just turned 33 this year, but I was also thinking, you know what, it's good to keep it real, because when you're in the trenches of building a business, this is truly what you look like.
Yeah, right. Well, I'm 48. And
no, you're not.
I am. And I'm nearly 49. And
but you don't have children? Do you have children?
I have a daughter.
You do?
I do have a daughter. And but you know what? I wanted to have you on the show because I want to talk about your wellness journey. You are a clinical nutritionist, which I would love for you to explain. What is a clinical nutritionist instead of just a nutritionist? Let's start there.
Oh, no, I mean, that's just terminology. I guess because I was in private practice for a couple of years. So I did a Bachelor of Health at Macquarie University and then 2 years of nutritional medicine. But it really, I think, just means practicing nutritionist in clinic.
Yes.
Which I'm not actually practicing at the moment. And I would like to be one day. My end goal in life is to be back in private practice. I'm now running a business and my life is actually very corporate. But I'm very excited to go back into private practice one day. I've visualized my clinic. Some of the best days of my career was being in private practice, for sure. I got to fully connect to what women were going through face to face. I mean, being, now so fortunate to have a bigger platform on social media and with our customers, but there is nothing as precious as sitting across from someone and being able to truly hear and listen to what they're going through and find healthy life solutions or nutritional medicine solutions to support them, and then watch them transform or heal or, elevate their well-being. So definitely some of the best days of my career were in private practice.
And you're an author, and as you said before, you'd have to be sleeping under a rock not to know that you are one of the most successful health entrepreneurs in Australia. Together with your husband, you have JSHealth, the brand, which is, not just successful in Australia, but all over the world. And I do want to go back to something, that we tell our kids and, our parents maybe tell us, is that when you do something that you love, it shines through, and you're most likely to be successful if you're in flow and if you're doing something that you are deeply passionate about and you would do even if you weren't getting paid for it.
Absolutely.
And it seems to me that your commitment to health and well-being was more than your vocation. It was your passion. And when I met you and connected with you, I want to say 8 years ago.
Yeah, it was so long ago now.
A long time ago. It was when I think your first book had come out, and you were sharing recipes and lifestyle content, and you really walk your talk. So let's start there. Nutrition is your first love, and you believe that nutrition is the foundation of well-being and lifespan and health span. What are some of the things that you've learned and you apply as a non-negotiable to your nutritional well-being for yourself?
Yes. I know. Thank you for reminding me, because people sometimes forget that I had a whole career before JSHealth Vitamins. For 8 years, I was nourishing the JSHealth community through healthy recipes, through a healthy life. And so I think people can feel my true passion and care for them. The JSHealth Vitamins is only 4 years old. So thank you so much, because that was some of, again, like that 8 years of living the healthy life, teaching the healthy life after my nutrition studies is my favorite thing to talk about and remember. So as a former fad diet, I really wasn't living the healthy life. And that's why I started my blog back in 2012, because I really wanted to help people let go of fad dieting the way I was and learn how to eat a whole food, nutritious diet, because I was failing. I actually wasn't achieving the results I was hoping for as a former fad dieter. And
So
I
when
knew
you
that
say fad dieter, do you mean that like you would just try anything that, you know, would get you slim or healthy? What were the things that would kind of trigger you to fad diet, and what were the diets that you were playing with?
all of them, every single one. I spent 10 years fad dieting from the age of 13 to 22. I was a chronic fad dieter, and my absolute goal in life was to be thin. And I say that with honesty, because I know that is shared by many. And the number on the scale really did determine my self-worth and self-confidence, which really makes me upset, because that number does not determine who you are and what you're worth. And I just was on a mission to find a better way to achieve my health goals, to feel well, to have my weight be balanced and not extreme. And it was yo-yoing all the time through the years. I was not sleeping well. My moods were all over the place. My hormones were imbalanced. And I just started discovering through my studies that actually eating nutritious whole foods with balance and with kindness, and whilst healing my relationship with food on the side, maybe that is the better way to live a healthy life. And I started sort of preaching that in my blog, which is how JSHealth began in my first book. Is just let go of the fads and the extremes and find balance with food in your body, and you'll see that you will achieve ultimate health and well-being.
And so when you were kind of coming off that, I guess I would call it an addiction to fad dieting, because it's, you know, I was definitely caught up in that culture. You know, I had a very slim, very beautiful mum. I have a very slim, very beautiful mum. And in my culture, being slim and beautiful are put on a pedestal. And it was definitely a thing that, you know, was preached to me. And I remember being, I think I was like 14 or 15, begging my mother to send me to Jenny Craig.
Wow.
So that I would be, and I want to say I was 49 kilos.
Oh gosh, yeah.
And it was such a, you know, back then they didn't catch you with eating disorders and problematic relationships with food. And, you know, at lunchtime, you would eat whatever you wanted to. You know, you'd have chip sandwiches and glazed rolls. And then after school, you'd have hot chips. And then later on, you would develop like this chronic pathology towards food. And no one really caught young girls before. And now I'm, you know, I have a 12-year-old daughter, and I just see her awareness around fat shaming, body positivity, none of which we were taught when we were young. And I'm, you know, I'm quite a bit older than you. So it took me until I was in my 40s to have a healthy relationship with nutrition, and to figure out how my body worked, and, you know, what fueled it. So, you know, lucky you that you cracked it in your 20s, and were able to share that wisdom with other people who were kind of at your stage. Because definitely I can tell you, when I was in my 30s, I still did not have a level of comfort with my body. And in fact, it really wasn't until I was in my 40s that I was able to understand that food is fuel. It's not the enemy. It's not a thing. And then it's funny because, you know, once you transform, as you said so perfectly, you know, you do it mindfully, you do it joyfully.
It's joy. It's meant to be joyful.
Yeah. And it completely transforms the way you interact with food and nutrition, and it completely transforms the way that your body behaves. So from a nutrition perspective, I mean, that is your business, that is your training. Take us through to your fitness and other wellness practices, what else do you do that, that adds to that joy, that adds to that mindful, healthy way that you want to live your life?
It's really similar to my eating philosophy. It's about being in tune with your body, because my unique biochemistry is different to yours. And what works for me is different to what works for you. And it's all about reconnecting to your body, because the problem is when you're listening to what everyone else is doing, you stop listening to yourself and your body.
Yes.
And you have to block out the noise and re-establish that connection. And so how I am with food is how I am with working out. And by the way, it's still a work in progress. I want to always say to everyone, like, I say to the community every day, you might always have those negative thoughts, or you might always you might compare your body, and you might have, bad days, or feel like you are not good enough. Or you might have moments where you're tempted by the fad diets, and your weight does become something that's still controlling you to some degree, but it's all about having the tools in your box to manage those thoughts, and that's sort of my passion, is putting those tools in your box to manage those thoughts when they come in. But it is always a work in progress. Your relationship with food and yourself is a work in progress forever.
Yeah, I mean, that's an ageless thing, right? I mean, it doesn't matter whether it's your first kind of and a lot of people, go down the wellness path as a mask or a beard for actually having an eating disorder, and you can see it, and that's why, it's really interesting to have you on the show, being so open about, your own relationship with food, and it made me, I don't think I've ever told that story about myself before, because it opens that pathway for a really honest discussion and an honest evaluation of where you're at. So for me, Ageless is not about anti-aging. It's about just that, the vibrancy and the spark of, and you can see that in people who are 70 something years old, who've got more verve and more energy and spark than someone in their 20s. And maybe because that person in their 20s isn't eating and isn't nourished and isn't energized.
That's what it is. It's about nourishing yourself and your well-being. And I love that you said that. Thanks for sharing your story, because being honest, I always say being real allows you to be relatable. And so I am the daughter of a therapist. So being in a household where we were actually cheered on, like my mom celebrated us when we would share our hardships or our truths or our vulnerabilities. And it has always allowed us, it's probably been a strength of my sisters and I to be able to share those honest truths. They might be negative, they might be very candid, but that allows for other people to connect and relate to what we may be going through. And I think it's super important these days, because it allows others to feel less alone with whatever they may be going through. And so, when it comes to working out, it's all the same thing in being in touch with my body. This morning, I actually woke up, we've been working really, really long hours the last couple of weeks, and I'm just tired. It's the end of the year, and I normally join my mom with a personal trainer on Thursday mornings. I woke up, I was like, I literally do not feel like moving my body in that way. And so my husband and I went for a walk instead. And I normally would have beat myself up, but it's about having a really kind and flexible relationship with food, and then working out as well. I mean, I was a former over exerciser too, 2 hours a day. But then when I started exercising in ways that I love and that support my body and my body's biochemistry, it changed the game. I was, again, listening to what everyone else was doing, what was trending. I remember going to spinning classes that I really, truly didn't enjoy, and doing boot camps and crazy things. And now I exercise in ways that I love, and I'm super in touch with my body, super in tune. I also really celebrate rest days, where you allow your body to truly rest and maybe not exercise. And also exercise, if you start exercising in ways that you love, it's more likely that it will be sustainable long term.
I think that holds true for absolutely everything that at first seems like a habit change or a new muscle, so to speak. And you're absolutely right. I didn't exercise until I was in my 40s.
Yeah.
Never thought in my wildest dreams that I would enjoy it. And now I do it purely for pleasure. I woke up today.
What do you do?
I walked 10 kilometers today. I did the foreshore walk with my best friend. We giggled all the way. it was like, it's so joyful.
That's the best.
The scenery is so beautiful. It does not feel like exercise at all. I have a beautiful gym as part of just down the road at the yacht club. I go in and
which yacht club?
The Point Piper.
Okay, yeah. What area do you live in? You don't have to.
I'm in Point Piper.
Oh, you're in Point Piper. Oh my gosh, is there a gym there?
Yeah, it's so beautiful, and you should see the outlook. And when I'm on that treadmill, I do affirmations and I go, oh my God, look where I live, look where I get to work out. It's such a pleasure.
It's heaven. It's
heaven. And I totally flipped my relationship with exercise exactly to what you said. So the first thing that I found that I liked was Pilates, and it was a revelation. I couldn't believe such a thing existed.
Yeah, totally.
And that was my gateway to exercise. And then because I developed some confidence with that and like figured out how my body moves and holds itself, then I tried other things. And last year and the year before, I got into Barry's, and for the first time in my life, in my mid-40s, I was sprinting and doing weights.
That's so good. See, there's just no age limit on when, you know, on anything, on any type of exercise. I think that's so amazing. But I can even feel and see the joy, and that just is going to be something that you will maintain and sustain.
Yeah,
and definitely. I think a lot of people don't have that same mentality. They have a lot of dread towards exercise, and exercise can honestly be 10 minutes a day, and it can be 20 minutes a day. Like we always say, actually, a lot of the research has pointed to 10 minutes a day being the best thing for your health and longevity and heart health. And also thinking of exercise as something that's very important for your mental health above everything else. If you start thinking of it as in that way, rather than just your physical health, your mental health and peace. Like last night I went to a hot yoga class just next door my office. And it was definitely for my mental health. You know, it was just, I need to take a break from my hectic work day. And I felt completely different. My husband and I do night walks every night from 8 o'clock. We walk for about 45 minutes. And I always say it's the best circuit breaker to the day. You know, you just feel so different after that time in fresh air, breathing deeply, and moving your body and moving your blood. And there's probably moving your energy. Yeah, totally. Well,
and didn't we all get that lesson during the pandemic? Like when the only thing we could do was go for those walks and do at-home workouts and stuff. It really became like the link to, you know, surviving what was otherwise a pretty traumatic global experience. That, you know, we found that moving our body was really the ultimate happy pill.
Absolutely.
I definitely doubled down on trying new exercises during that time, and it was really joyful. And my daughter and I, you know, we would do Just Dance videos on the TV.
Cute. That's so nice.
We were doing Cindy Crawford workouts from the 80s. They were amazing. From the 90s. They were
oh my gosh, I want to try that.
Oh my God, they're the best. Do you remember her trainer Radu?
Where do you do them? How do you do
YouTube.
them? That's so cool. I'm going to try that this weekend.
You're going to love
it. Thank you for that.
And she's certainly inspiration. But the other thing that I wanted to obviously talk about with you, since you have a very successful supplements company, is that, you know, how when you did your training in health and nutrition, where did supplements sit alongside that? Because, you know, when we launched a virtual clinic this year, and we only stock 2 brands of supplements, and you're one of them. And the reason that I wanted to stock the JSHealth brand is because I knew you and I trusted you. And I actually worked in consultation with a naturopath because I'm not a medical expert, and God knows I shouldn't be prescribing anything to anyone. I only tell the story of what works for me, and then I have experts come and tell stories. And for the virtual clinic, we work with a naturopath to select the 2 brands and go through our curation. You know, Jess, what I'm curious about is that, you know, you obviously early on caught yourself wanting to improve your relationship with nutrition and food, and also well-being in general. I'm wondering when the supplements piece hit your consciousness and why you created a business around it.
Yeah, no, it's such a good question. I mean, even just yesterday, I think I was speaking to Forbes girl, and we were saying, I mean, the truth is the power of nutrients and minerals still blows me away. Like sometimes I get emotional about it. And I discovered that intensely during my nutrition studies, but I felt it. I've always had this very strong belief and gravitational pull towards vitamins. Is quite weird. Sometimes I talk about it, but not often actually. When I was 13 and 14, I had shelves and shelves of vitamins in my bathroom as a young teenager when all my best friends had rows and rows of beauty products.
Yeah, I
And
believe that. I actually truly believe that we are drawn to
some things.
and obsessive about the thing that we're
Yes,
meant to do. And you see the kids who play Lego and become amazing engineers. You see the kids that love playing with cars and become, they go into a certain, you see it. I was obsessed with
absolutely.
makeup and business. I used to play at having a cosmetic business when I was 7
I'm
and 8.
sure.
And
I'm
that's what I
sure.
had.
I'm
Yeah. So I,
sure.
I can see you with your rows and rows of vitamins.
I had them. I really did. My sisters and I, my sisters still tease me about it. It was just, it was a bit random, but I always, from the age of 14, I knew I wanted to be a nutritionist. Like I was absolutely set. And then I think when I went into private practice, I just saw the way that they helped so many of my clients. But I get no, during nutrition school, you learn about the power of nutrients and minerals and amino acids and essential fatty acids and how they come through food, as you say, to fuel our bodies, to help our bodies to thrive, to help our brain to function, to help our heart to beat, to help every single cell in our body is being supported by nutrients and minerals, and the power of that through food, and then the power of that through supplements, because there's more of a therapeutic dose of those nutrients and minerals. And by the way, I see vitamins as medicines, which they are in Australia. They're considered a listed medicine. And I have a very less is more approach. It's medicinal. So we want to achieve, nutrients and minerals and amino acids and essential fatty acids through food as our first point. And then there are vitamin formulations there to support any gaps or symptoms you may be experiencing, because you could be eating all of the right foods in the world. Like myself, I do eat very, very healthy, but I'm not a good sleeper. So taking a vitamin that might have really good forms of magnesium and lavender oil extract and passion flower that have been either traditionally proven or scientifically proven to support sleep may really support you. Or you could be eating all the right foods and your gut microbiome bacteria is imbalanced. And by taking a probiotic as a medicinal support can really support you to relieve yourself of those negative digestive symptoms. So I see vitamins as medicines, and they're just there to support you and fill in those gaps or support pain points during different phases of your life. And so, but in general, my love and as you say, obsession with nutrients and minerals is just, it's very evident. If you look at my history and you see that love through the early days of JSHealth, through recipes, through being obsessed with helping people to live a healthy life through food, and then 4.5 years ago deciding to do that through supplements. I think it's the same obsession, just in different, and using them, the same obsession in different forms. And I believe both are very powerful. And I believe in a holistic, healthy life. I think it's not just nutrition. It's not just supplements. It's not just working out. It's therapy. It's time out. It's rest. It's supplements. It's a healthy diet. It's a healthy relationship with food. It's all of it. And so we as a brand want to just support the different, the different parts of a healthy life.
I wrote a book, I think it was 7 years ago. It was called Rescue Me.
Yes, I remember that.
Yeah. And at the beginning of the book, I kind of said, eventually I figured out like there was this pyramid of beauty, and like we're always chasing that really pointy end, which is, glossy hair, beautiful glowing skin. But the thing that kind of, in my experience of meeting experts and interviewing people, meeting some of the most beautiful and handsome men and women of the world, you don't get to have that pointy end of beauty without all the other foundations being in place. And
Exactly.
positive, healthy relationships, financial health, self-actualization, physical health and well-being and love, and then the beauty part comes on top. Because truly, and I've tested this because I've met some of the most beautiful men and women in the world, and they will tell you that if one of those core foundations at the bottom of the pyramid is out of whack, they do not feel beautiful and they do not look beautiful.
100%.
And so with Ageless, the same principle really applies, and that's what I wanted to do in the storytelling with the podcast. The magazine is all about the interviews with the experts, but the storytelling with the podcast is I wanted to bring forward the experts and also the people who are the ageless muses, as I said at the beginning of the episode, who've worked out that it's not just a supplement, it's not just a workout, it's not an injectable, it's not surgery. It really is all your things being stacked correctly, and sometimes they're not all stacked at once, so you have to fine tune. Like you said, supplements are a medicine, and I get DMs all the time, maybe 10 a day. What supplements do you take? And I go, honestly, don't worry about what I take.
Totally.
Don't worry about what I take.
I mean,
what do you need? Go find out what you need.
Exactly. That's such a perfect way of saying it. It's like being in touch with your body and knowing what it needs.
Yeah. And so for me, that took a long time because I also was looking out and then trying to apply that model to myself. And guess what? It didn't work. And I remember going to Kamalaya's, which is a health retreat in Thailand.
Went.
Have you been?
Beautiful. Yes, I've been a few. It's just gorgeous.
Me too. It's my favorite place on earth. And I actually went again this year for the 5th time.
Oh my gosh. I can't believe it. I went there before I got married as well. It was very special.
It's so extraordinary. And it's healing on so many different levels, but it's always a place that I go back to kind of get back in touch with myself. And I remember the first time that I went there was, I used to go there to stave off a crisis in my life. And now I go there because I love it and it energizes me to kind of keep having more positive experiences in my life. But the first time I went was after a particularly brutal crisis. And I remember seeing the naturopath at Kamalaya, and she did blood tests on me, full physical, and she said, I wish you had known about the power of vitamin B complex when you were going through this crisis. And I said, what do you mean? And she goes, it actually would have got you through.
Oh, yeah.
And I said, I don't understand. And it was the first time I was introduced to supplements as a supportive medicine. And so I now only ever supplement
when you need to.
Yeah, with a full dashboard. And in the virtual clinic, we now have a range of functional tests that you can have. Because again, don't ask me, find out what you need. So you can have the gut microbiome testing, you can have DNA testing, you can check your hormones, and then find out exactly what your body is missing and needing to be supplemented. But for me, when I discovered supplementation, which was, I want to say about 10 years ago or 8 years ago, it was quite transformative for me. And the more that I've learned about my body and the way that it functions, the more I've been able to pick the right supplements, and they have worked really well for me, very well for me. And so that's why I was really interested to have you on the show to talk about, what your discovery has been and how you create the suite of supplements, because your range is so broad and so interesting. How do you make them? Like, how do you even come up with what you need?
I think it's probably one of my only strengths, like in what I do. Like I am quite intuitive with ingredients and nutrients and minerals, and I love playing with them together and seeing how that particular formula, seeing how those ingredients will work together to help relieve people of certain pain points. It's definitely my passion. Product development is I now work with a complete team of experts. And in Australia, we're so lucky because every single formulation, the ingredients in there must be backed by either traditional research or scientific evidence. You have to present an evidence package with each formulation for it to pass. And so we're so lucky in that way, because also you have to achieve certain levels of that ingredient, so therapeutic doses, to sometimes get that research. And so I'm a big believer in therapeutic doses, and when it comes to certain ingredients to help support people through a formulation. And so, I mean, I think, I just have a really, as I said before, obsession and passion with nutrients and minerals, and I see the research all the time, every day, and I see how they can help support people. Like you said, B complex, B vitamins help the body adapt to stress.
Yes.
And help the body with energy production. And so she was probably saying, if you had better ability to cope with and adapt to stress and better energy, you probably could have gone through that hard time a little bit better. And that's really what it's all about. Like, I just can't get over the fact that probiotic strains, the science behind them being able to re-inoculate the gut with beneficial bacteria, restore digestive health, relieve digestive discomfort, relieve constipation, help you to have regular bowel movements. There's some of the scientific claims, and it's just unbelievable to me. Or help with the immune system, or help you. We know that a lot of our serotonin, which is our feel-good hormone, is made in the gut. Just all of this phenomenal, just how phenomenal it is to re-inoculate the gut with beneficial bacteria in itself, just what that can do. Sometimes it can even help people sleep better. So I just am obsessed with knowing how various ingredients and various forms of those ingredients at various doses can potentially support someone to feel better. And B vitamins is a perfect example of that. Is it the right dose of the B vitamins? Is the right form of B vitamins? What else is going into that formulation? And then looking at the research and actually knowing that at a specific dose, B6 or B12 has been proven to help the body adapt to stress and help with energy production. And it has been proven to do so. It's just phenomenal. I mean, you can't doubt the benefits of these nutrients and minerals anymore. There is actually simply too much research. Sometimes herbs can be a little bit different because it's based on traditional Western herbal medicine, and it's different to scientific evidence. But people, there's a lot of skeptics with vitamins and minerals, and I can just tell you right now, and I'm just looking at my formulations and doing what I do, I just have the utmost respect, as you can see, for what nutrients and minerals can do.
One of the experts that I often reference, who's considered a world expert in the lifespan and longevity and health span space, is Professor David Sinclair, who's an Australian doctor who's now based at Harvard Medical School, and he wrote an incredible book called Lifespan, Why We Age and Why We Don't Have to. And he shares his full regenerative medicine protocol in his book, which again is his protocol. So I always say to people, what's right for, a 50-year-old man may not be correct for a 35-year-old woman. So do go and get your, bloods and dashboard and find out what you need. But what was really interesting to me when I read the book, I think it was about 2 years ago, is that the cornerstone of his regenerative advice is nutrition and supplementation. So he advocates intermittent fasting, which I've been doing now for 2 years, and it's been the single best thing that I've done for my health and well-being.
Isn't that amazing?
It works.
More energy.
Oh my God, like more everything. Like it's been the elixir of life for me. And the other thing is supplementation. And again, I thought, how curious. Here he is, regarded the world expert in longevity and health studies, and he's not talking about drugs. I think there was one medicine in what he takes, but everything else were supplements. And it just reminded me that, getting yourself in balance is truly the best thing you can do. And of course, he talks about sleep and other, what we now call biohacking things to consider, which is exposure to cold therapy, great sleep, walking, exercise, the types of exercise you would do, exercises for your brain, the gut-brain connection. And I'm curious. So, you've got the nutrition right. You've fine-tuned what you do from a exercise perspective. You're taking your supplements, and you created a phenomenal supplement empire. We should call it that, because it is an empire.
Thank you.
And it's extraordinary it's extraordinary, but also completely obvious to me how you've become so successful, because as I said, I've known you for 8 years, and your tenacity and your commitment to it was nothing short of, completely all in. But what do you do from the other side of things, that let's call it the biohacking things? Do you meditate? Do you
Yes.
sauna? Do you cold therapy? Tell me everything you do. I'm curious.
I know. I think we're the same, by the way. I think we're both just relentless. I think that's actually the thing, is like, we have to be relentless to keep doing what we do. But when you're so passionate, you automatically become relentless and just keep building, keep going. I keep it really simple. I think I'm obsessed with a morning and nighttime routine and ritual, like obsessed. So waking up to a 30-minute routine. So at least just 20 or 30 minutes of movement, and then a JSHealth smoothie, my supplements. Trying not to check my phone and social media during that time is a huge biohack for me. Like, I just believe scrolling or checking your social media as the first thing that you do is really not a healthy way of starting your day. It changes your energy, it changes your mindset. You want to start on a clear, wholesome, positive note, not inundating your brain with constant information or comparison, or just seeing things that I don't think it's a healthy way to start the day. And I believe the way you start your day sets the tone for your day. And so literally it's a 30 or 40-minute morning routine, as I say, with the workout, smoothie, supplements, coffee, of course. Sorry, how dare I forget that?
Best friend, yeah, I have my one cup of coffee.
One cup of coffee a day before 10 or 11. And then as I say, not checking my phone and emails is very important. And then I just get dressed, and I have a cold shower.
How long for?
Every day. And I've been having a cold shower since a little girl, because my grandmother, who taught me all about vitamins and supplements, that's how I got introduced to them, because I used to sit at breakfast as a little girl, and my grandparents would have rows and rows and rows of vitamins laid out with their breakfast, and eating papaya and lemon water way before it was trending. And I now know my great grandmother used to travel to Switzerland to get her vitamins. It's the whole thing. But she used to cold shower. So when we used to go over to my grandmother's house or sleep over, she would just talk to us about the cold shower. So interesting that all these things are now coming into being more trendy. But she always believed in the cold shower, and she would take her hand and rub her cells during the cold shower, and that's what I do. So I just have a quick cold shower, and I use my hands to rub my cells. And then I do the JSL 4-step skincare system, because I work with a scientist with that. And I do love, I love clean, natural products, but I also like when you get into your 30s and that's your skin, I just want to know everything you do with your skin. But because what you do, I need to do. But
I don't know if you do everything I do. I inject just about everything into my skin. I try everything. Yeah. I love it.
I might need to start all that. I'm joking. I believe in natural, clean skincare, but when you get into your 30s, you also need stuff that works. And so I try to create natural, clean skincare, but that is also elevated with ingredients proven to support being ageless, I guess. And so I do a skincare routine, and then I get into my car and go to work. And then I do the same nighttime routine. I do a nighttime routine. So it's all about winding down, calming down the nervous system, calming down that cortisol. So cortisol, by the way, is meant to calm down at 6 p.m., your stress hormone, which keeps you quite full of adrenaline during the day and is good for us, keeps us going. But it's meant to be taken over by melatonin at 6 p.m. And a lot of us are living stressful lives. We don't let that cycle happen. And so we push that cortisol back up, and that's why a lot of people disturb their sleep. So my mission when I finish work at around 7 is to really calm down my nervous system. It's quite a conscious practice of calming it down. So of course it's taking magnesium, but it's so much more than that. It's like having an Epsom salt bath, having rituals, like doing a mini at-home facial.
Is this every night? You really are committed to it every night?
Very committed to. I mean, of course, when I'm going through hard work periods, you'll see. So the biggest thing that I do is I delete Instagram at around 8 p.m. and I also delete my emails from my phone.
So you
I sort of
literally take off the app.
I literally delete it because it only takes 8 seconds the next day to re-download. But and I've done the research, trust me, 8 seconds. The next, not even, I think it's like 6 seconds to re-download. And then
do that. That is
I delete everything. I really truly delete. I do keep my iMessage on just in case of emergency, and I'm like super strict. I like delete everything. And I always say to people, find a time that works for you. Like for me, it's 8-ish. For you, it could be 9, like moms are different, but set a time. But if you set a time, you'll stick to it. If you don't set a time, you won't stick to it. So set a time that works for you. Mine is 8-ish. And then that's my sort of cutoff time where I switch everything off, and it's wind down time now. So it's like an
Epsom wine as in wind down time.
Oh, I will. Sometimes I do love that's, you know what? That's what I would love to do every night. I love and appreciate wine very, very much. If I like, my people tease me that my next career, I could easily be a wine connoisseur because I'm like obsessed with wine, but I try and limit my
alcohol. If you're obsessed with it, it's going to be like one of the best wine brands in the world coming soon. Here we go.
But no. But do you like wine?
Yes, I do.
I love it, but I try and stick to alcohol-free week. Yeah. And then on weekends, what do you do?
I never drink by myself. So on the nights that I have Lily, my daughter, just me, I don't drink. So if I'm with my boyfriend, we'll have a glass of wine, but not always. We don't always drink. And if I go to dinner, I will always have wine. And I
love it with food. I love it with food. Anyway, so I do wind down time. So it's an Epsom salt bath. I actually make an apple chamomile tea with Manuka honey. It's just like it's honestly a 20-minute ritual. My husband will tell you, I run the bath, put the Epsom salts in, lavender oil, take a magnesium, Sometimes I take a sleep formulation, make my chamomile honey tea, would have had a healthy dinner by that time, start switching my phone off. So deleting all the apps.
I am totally going to do that. I have never heard that before. And honestly, if there's one thing that, wow.
Because I tell you why, because you'll have this beautiful night where you're not lying on your bed and scrolling your phone, and you're actually putting your energy into amazing things. Like, it's unbelievable what happens when you have that quiet time. Like my husband and I will go for a night walk around the block because I know I've got really nothing to do. I've worked really hard during the day, and this is my opportunity to give my mind and my body a rest. So 8, it's always like 8 is like sort of my time where it's like, right now, how do I sort of nourish and rest? How do I nourish and revitalize my body? And so it's a night walk. It's this beautiful ritual of magnesium, Epsom salts, a bath, chamomile tea, and just watching my favorite TV shows, reading a book. Sometimes last night I sat on my balcony with the fresh air, watching The Crown, and then that's it, go to bed. And it just can't tell you, like from that 7 or 8 o'clock period till the next morning, I feel like I've just regenerated my entire mind and body. And then I think it's also the trick for me to be able to keep going with building a business. Like I mean, there's many moments where you want to give up and it's just too much and too exhausting. And
your business isn't like, when we talk about your business, let's be honest, this is a business. It is a big business. It is a global business. And I'm curious, what else do you do to support yourself? Because it's all good and well to have morning rituals and night rituals.
Yeah.
And let's be honest, someone who's running a business the size that you are, is going to need more than morning rituals and night rituals. Am I correct?
You are correct. So
who's on the A team of support?
Yes. Therapist.
Yes.
Every week. I see an extraordinary therapist who's based in California. She specializes in what I have, which is OCD, anxiety, and trauma. And as I say, you've got to do the hard work, because otherwise it leaks out. And the hard work is not the hard work at work. It's the hard work on yourself. Otherwise I will not be able to be a healthy leader. And I see what happens when I don't do the hard work. Trust me, I'm not perfect. And I am running a really big business, and it's not what I expected to do. It wasn't my plan. It wasn't my intention at all. Hand on heart. This is very new to me. I haven't done any business degrees, haven't done any business plans. This was not, so I'm literally adjusting to running this business, which was not on the plan. So what I do, it's also, again, it's simple things, but like weekends, like I will not work on weekends. I know it sounds again, silly because most people don't work on weekends. But if you run your own business and you're an entrepreneur and you have a creative mind, you want to keep busy and keep invigorating your brain during a weekend, and you could easily go to emails and you can easily work and blah, blah, blah. I have a very now strict no work on weekends.
So who else do you see other than your therapist?
Sorry. So yeah. So no, yeah, I do a lot of things. So I do the no work weekends is one thing. I have a therapist. I have an entire team of support. So I have a therapist, an integrated GP, a psychiatrist, very open about that. And so therapist, psychiatrist, GP, and I'm very, very simple on the beauty. I do not I'm being honest. I just do not prioritize any beauty treatments at this point in my life. On the weekend, my husband and I will treat ourselves to a massage on Sunday nights. But that's pretty much the only beauty treatment that I do at this moment. But weekends, not working. And I think, 2 breaks a year, like my husband and I will schedule in like a nice chunk of time to take a break. But I think the team behind me, obviously my family is so supportive. My husband is very supportive. But I think having a weekly therapy, like I will not miss my weekly therapy appointment. And it's like, even something came up, I have therapy tomorrow and something where I have to sort of adjust it. So I'm so committed to it that I'll just make sure it happens. So if I have to change it or change the time, like I will make sure it happens still by a certain time frame, like within the next 5 days. Like I must. And by the way, she's probably one of the most in-demand therapists. I should not be changing or adjusting anything, but it's just a huge commitment to see a therapist for me. And having that team behind me, like I currently am not like having a psychiatrist is just there to support me. I'm not necessarily on certain medications, but I'm just have him there supporting me during specific times. Like I've gone through a time in my life where I needed to see a psychiatrist and needed to go onto medication. And so I just have him there in the background as a check-in, just to make sure that I feel supported and held by that.
So you said you see integrative GP. What does
yes, so blood tests. So like I'm my team literally bring me their blood tests because I'm so obsessed. And when I was in private practice, all I used to love to do was to analyze blood tests. It's very strange. It's like another obsession of mine is blood tests.
Every single person I know for blood tests.
Exactly. I love it. So I go to him. So I go to him to, I studied, when I was studying, I actually worked with him. So I've learned so much. Like I sort of sometimes know what he's going to tell me to do, but because I did my prac with him. But I go sometimes for a B complex injection. I went this week for a B complex injection.
I did my own.
Oh, good. Apparently you can now.
That huge bloody needle.
Do you get it from here, from chemist? Where do you get it from?
Yeah, I buy it at the chemist warehouse, and get my needles. And
I'm scared, I think.
Well, it's awful.
Which one do you use?
I don't even know the brand. It comes in 3 vials, and I inject my boyfriend as well.
Do you do it in your stomach or where?
No, I do it in my bum.
Yeah,
just in my hip.
That's so cute. And then I just check in with him, like, because I'm in this healthy world. Sort of, I sometimes, I know what to do, but just having all those people in the background to be there as a support network. I just think therapy is something that everyone these days, it's just Jess, not a luxury.
Do you do infrared saunas or IV drips or oxygen therapy? Have you tried any of those things? Do you like
so it's interesting because I'm in this world, but I used to live in LA, and I did do the freezing, the cryotherapy, and I did the IV drips. I've done all of it. I've done like chelation, where you sit with a drip and get all the heavy metals removed from your body. Trust me, I've done literally every single thing.
That's why I'm asking. That's why I wanted you on the show, because it's so fun to have.
I've done everything.
Yeah. And what worked for you?
So these days, honestly, I keep it so simple. Maybe it's because I'm really working long hours that I just don't have the time. And I just am in a period of time where I do have to prioritize work and my loved ones, that's what's happening right now. It's like health is always there because I live the healthy life and it's my life, but it's like I have to be super careful. I know I need to give my business a lot of energy at this point in time, So I get, it's like business, husband, loved ones, business, husband, loved ones. So it's like, I have to say, like, either I want to go be with my new nephew, which after this podcast, I'm going to babysit him at 5:30, or I can go for a massage or facial. Like, I kind of just have to make those choices at the moment. I mean, and then weekends, I really like to say no to things and not have appointments and times with anything, even with friends. Like, I just don't like to have a time I need to be somewhere. But I did all of that, and I just now keep it simple. Like, I've done all the IV, the IVs and the cold therapy. And as I say, I'm more interested in the daily practices and the little daily things you can do, like the morning and nighttime rituals.
You're 33 now, and I remember when I was 33, I reckon I was at peak burnout at 33.
I'm definitely.
I was, I remember actually going on a girls' trip to Shanghai.
How funny. I just came back from my girls'
Did
trip.
you? So I remember being on a girls' trip in Shanghai.
That's funny.
And I was about to divorce for the first time, I think it was. Or I was
Wait, how many divorces have you had?
I've been divorced twice.
Really?
Yes,
I didn't know that.
Yes, and I'm friends, and I love both my ex-husbands, and
oh, that's beautiful.
I'm very lucky. But
that's so nice.
I remember we went out to this gorgeous bar up in the sky, as everything is in Shanghai, so amazing and big. And we were sitting down on these beautiful couches, and I was nodding off.
Really?
Yes, because I had total adrenal exhaustion. I was running a business. I had a distribution company back then. I had, I think, 36 different brands that were in thousands of points.
You're a serious. I can tell you're just you're a true businesswoman.
A true, anyway, but I was so exhausted, so depleted, not eating properly, just cobbled together by stress. And then, a few years ago, I've talked about this on my podcast before. It was after, I was coming out of a really hectic personal time. I literally fell asleep at lunch. We were meeting a new baby. It was a girls' lunch. We were meeting, and I fell into my plate almost. Like, it was like,
oh my gosh.
Like that. And my friends kind of caught me then and said, come on, you work so much, it's crazy, you need work-life balance. But later on, when I didn't really address it when I was your age, it took to when I was, I think, 45, and I nearly fell asleep into my lunch, that my friends caught me and they said, get your hormones checked, get the bloods done, everything. And I this time I really took heed, and I completely transformed my life. So I'm curious, you at 33 with so much knowledge, such an enormous business, a big full life, what do you hope for, as you kind of, go forward? What is your kind of sense of what health and vitality for you will feel like? Because you're giving it to everyone else, but what will be, at what point will you kind of look back and go, yeah, this is it, this is what I want?
Yeah, that's such a really powerful, good question. And thanks for sharing your stories. That's really, sometimes you need those really scary awakenings.
Yes.
I think, what something's changed for me in the last 3 years, because I went through a bit of a mental health crisis. Also lost my best friend to mental health, had this whole 3 years of absolute pain and torture where I developed my own anxiety and intrusive thoughts. And it was just horrific. Like, I literally at one point they thought I was going through psychosis. They didn't know what was going on. It was probably a combination of grief and, losing my best friend, plus workload, plus pressure, all happening at one time. And so these days, my definition of well-being has truly changed.
Yes.
And it is, I just want mental peace. And it is, I know it sounds like a little cliched, and I'm just speaking from my heart, the truth. Like, I just want to feel peaceful. I want to wake up and feel peaceful. And that's truly, like, if someone said to me, and I go through this all the time because people probably don't believe me, but I would give up everything materialistic that I have now 100% if I was rest assured that I would have my mental health in peace for the rest of time, because I've understood, when I say I will give up anything, because I will not give up my husband, my loved ones, but I will give up everything just to have my mental health in peace. That is my priority. And it's amazing, because when I went through that time, JSHealth vitamins started having this tremendous success, and it didn't matter to me. And people don't have to believe it, but it did not matter to me.
It didn't feel joyful. I know exactly what you're saying.
I didn't care. So what's happened is it's been the most humbling experience. I do think I'm quite changed. Like, I'm the same Jess, but I'm quite different in what matters to me. And nothing at work, even these days, phases me, because I just literally, we can go through the hardest things as a business, and then I'll say, but do I have my mental health in peace? Do I have my loved ones? If the answer is yes, I don't care. And it's actually amazing, because it's strengthened me up in my business world, because it doesn't phase me the same way. I don't react as much. It's made me stronger, and it's made me like just prioritize what matters. Are my customers healthy? That's like, it's just changed the way that I do business. It's changed the way I conduct my relationships, my team, my friendships, just everything. It's just like, peace is my new definition of wellbeing. And it's interesting, because obviously I'm the nutritionist, and I'm all about physical health and wellbeing and feeling well and feeling energized. But at this point in my life, I'm just seeking complete peace. And I can wake up like I did this morning, and I was hearing the waves crash nearby, and the sun was on my face, and I literally have those moments of like this, I feel well, I feel peaceful, because I know what it's like not to have that.
Yes.
And I just am so grateful to have that today. And I hope for that for the rest of my time. I do also, like, I'm actually going through a period where my actual physical energy is very low. And it's so interesting, because I am supplementing a lot right now, like more so, because I think my body needs that support, probably because of stress and being a bit burnt out at this time of the year. But I'm eating well, but I think at the same time I can do all the right things nutritionally and vitamins, but I probably just need rest, and just time away from the hustle.
How lucky you are to know this at 33, because it took me a few crash tackles at life before knowing. And, I've met people who are in their 80s and 90s who say, what you've learned at 33, they learned at 70 after, losing their partner, losing a life, their kids not wanting to have anything to do with them. So I think it's such beautiful advice. It's really, it's wisdom, right?
Thank you.
Like, and wisdom doesn't have an age on it. It's an ageless quality, right?
Unfortunately, sometimes you have to go through really, really hard, painful times to get there. And people used to say that to me, and I didn't really believe them. I like kind of flipped it off to the side. But you have to sometimes go through the hell to really, really awaken your soul, and like just to know why you're here and what matters, and refocus. And I definitely went through a really, really hard time not so long ago. So I feel I'm very grounded, and I'm very sure of what I want, which is just health and peace.
I'm so grateful that you've shared this version of your story with us today. And I think it's really, it's very honest, and it's very generous.
Thank you.
To do it in this way, because it would be easy, I'm sure, at being at the helm of like such a successful wellness company, and you're on a show that talks about that, to veer off towards a promotion for your brand. But it's extremely wonderful and generous of you to share the journey of
you too,
how you got here. And I love it. And I think that there are so many gold nuggets in this conversation. And yeah,
that was beautiful. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, thank you.
I wish you the best too. You're wait, I need to know, what is your birthday? Because you are a force.
I will tell you. I'm going to sign off now, and
thank you so much for having me. Thank you.